This week, Daily Maverick has reported that under the new policy, the mayor of Joburg, Jama-Ah's Kabelo Gwamanda, will get 10 bodyguards and 5 cars, and the speaker, the AIC's Margaret Arnolds, will get 8 guards and 5 cars. Other councillors would also get guards who are officers in the Joburg Metro Police Department. I must just point out that this new policy also comes after a Rand Water executive was shot dead or assassinated, rather, last year. So there are all sorts of questions around the need for protection. Joburg councillor Thapelo Amad is with the political party Jama-Ah. You may remember he was mayor of Joburg as well. Councillor Amad, thank you very much indeed for coming in. I really appreciate the time. Why does the mayor of Joburg need 10 guards and 5 cars?
Thank you, Steve. So you should remember that the process or the policy, there's a precedence in the city. It started during the former mayor, Herman Mashaba, who then did the process through chiefs. So, however, the council report that went into council recently doesn't say the mayor must beef up the security, nor does it say the mayor needs 10 bodyguards. So the report itself, in essence, it says let council ratify the wrongdoing of the previous administration under the stewardship of Herman Mashaba. Because when the policy was promulgated, they did it through chiefs, which is one of the state organ within the city. GFIS, it's group forensic of the city. However, the policy where it is right now, what council says, it says let us identify an independent body to do the risk assessment and to do the threat analysis, which is SEPS. So that report, in essence, we are taking it to SEPS to do the risk assessment and the threat analysis, so that when it comes with recommendations, then it can give it back to council and say, yes, of course, we've seen the risk, we've seen the threat, and then council can promulgate the policy, and then we can take it from there. So there's nothing new under the surface of this planet. It is people who are desperate to do politics. However, let me, in conclusion, to give you an opportunity to speak. So there's one of their councillors who wants the security protection, but it is because of her own wrongdoing. So she's running away from the people. So they don't have numbers to push to council to say this councillor here needs an intervention. She's done wrong. And you know there's another councillor of the Democratic Alliance also who got hiding recently, who was a former mayor. Because of the wrongdoings of the Democratic Alliance, it is unfair when the wrong is done by the Democratic Alliance. It is normal. It is normalized by the community. But when it's done by any other than the Democratic Alliance, then it becomes a taboo.
Okay, so you're saying the mayor won't have 5 cars?
Come again?
The mayor won't have 5 cars assigned to them?
The mayor won't have 5 cars. The mayor has they call it a main car,
yeah,
and a backup car.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and when the mayor moves around, he would only move with the bodyguards in 1 car?
It's 2 cars.
2 cars.
Yeah, so it would be the protectors behind.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give technical details.
No, sure.
However, yeah, there's only 2 cars that are accompanying the mayor. However, let me also reiterate, you must also be cognizant that they are not bringing any personnel from outside the system. This personnel, these officers are taken from the JMPD pool. And it doesn't even have a financial implication.
Okay, I'm going to come to that because the city of Joburg has huge financial problems. You have to borrow 2 billion rand from the Southern African Development Bank just to keep going. Every time one of these people is taken from the Joburg Metropolitan Police Department to protect a mayor or a speaker or a councillor, that's 1 less police officer to protect ordinary people. Now, I fully accept that the mayor needs to have protection. I'm not saying that the mayor must not have protection. They're a public person. They make difficult decisions. I accept that. I have no problem with that. But does the Speaker need so much protection? I mean, what role does the Speaker play that puts them in so much danger?
The Speaker has only 1 vehicle.
So
also
the Speaker doesn't have 8 guards?
No, that's a fallacy. And over and above that, remember, the current Speaker comes from El Dorado Park.
Yeah.
And she still lives in El Dorado Park. And as a councillor, prior to her becoming a Speaker, she had... JMPD had intervened because she's fighting gun violence in her own community. So that threat was detected on the Speaker. But I can assure you now that the Speaker only has 1 car. I don't know where does the 8 car coming from.
8 guards. So the Speaker doesn't have 8 guards. The Speaker only has 1 guard.
8 guards.
8 guards. 8 protectors.
Yeah, it's impossible for 8 people to be in 1 car. 9 people, including the speaker.
No, sure. Depending on the car. Let me put this another way.
Yeah.
Are 8 protectors, the speaker, have 8 people been assigned to protect her on a 24-hour basis?
She has 2 people and she's driving a, if I'm not mistaken, it's an extra vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an extra vehicle.
Okay.
She has 2 people.
All right.
Yeah.
You do accept the point, though, that for every Joburg Metropolitan Police officer who is assigned to protect a councillor, not just the mayor or the speaker, but other councillors, that's 1 less officer on the beat to protect ordinary citizens in Joburg.
Retrospectively, the residents want services to be rendered to them. The residents want service delivery to be effective.
Yeah.
So if there's a threat that has been posed to either a person who has to do that service delivery, so why is it a problem to say, let us effect service delivery, let us empower these people to move around freely with the protection so that they can effect the very same services that are rendered to them? I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, you do make sense, and I accept that argument.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to get to is, it also means that what you're saying is that councillors need this protection to move around, freely. I think there are plenty of people in Joburg who feel they need protection to move around freely. I mean, women can't walk through an informal settlement during the day, never mind at night. And that's because there aren't enough police officers in informal settlements.
So we had started with the program when I was in the office with partnership with Plan Act at the time, where we have digitalized the informal settlement that you are making reference to, so that we make an ease of doing business. So the program that which we installed in those informal settlement, it's on the basis that there's a security threat for women in particular and children. Remember, people in the informal settlement, they use chemical toilets and they need to move out. If there's a threat, they are able to do and go onto their gadgets and then press Google and say there's a threat here, and that will throw a pin at the nearest police station, and the police officers will come. Remember, it's not only the JMPD that is providing those services.
Sure.
There's also national police officers. There's also provincial national police officers. I'm talking about by law enforcement.
Yeah, sure.
And we have SEPs at large. So why would it be a problem if the executive mayor, who's done pretty well, and the country for the longest of time, they needed a young leadership who, with fresh ideas, with fresh minds, who has a clean audit better than Cape Town itself, who has a clean audit better than...
I look forward to Cape Town's response.
Yes, better than Tshwane itself. And yet we are crying foul on 2 protectors or 4 protectors. Why is that? Why don't we celebrate as a nation to say, the country, the city of Johannesburg has given us fresh ideas. The city of Johannesburg has given us fresh minds. And let us celebrate and embrace this person and support him to effect the services.
As I say, I fully accept that the mayor and the speaker and other people who make difficult decisions, infrastructure, MMCs, people like that should have some level of protection. I've got no problem with that. I think and I can't speak for everybody, but I think the question is, if South Africa is so unsafe and Joburg is so unsafe for the vast majority of its people, councillors, and we see this around the world, by the way, if councillors feel safe because they have protectors, they won't work to make it safe for everyone else. And that's the concern.
Okay. So it's not a blanket approach. The report speaks of the executive and the troika. When we're saying councillors, we are talking about 270 individuals in the city of Johannesburg. So this has nothing to do with an ordinary councillor. It's not a blanket, my apologies, it's not a blanket approach. So we are focusing on the mayor, the troika, the chief whip who was recently shot, the speaker of council, and the MMCs. This is what the report is limited to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councillor Amad, I almost want to call you Thapelo, but let me call you Councillor Amad and be formal. You're a former mayor. You look a little more relaxed, by the way, since those days. If you move around Joburg at the moment, you know, in the areas I move, I'm sure the areas you move to, you see so many people who need help, so many people who are desperate. You can't do much about the country's economy. There's so many problems with water, so many problems with electricity. There are potholes everywhere. How would you describe the state of the city of Joburg?
Mainly water in particular emanated from the vandalism of the infrastructure, and also being a city that has the Zama-Zamas. Remember these people, when they do illegal minings, they also tap into that servitude. But however, the problem within the city, the water outage, it doesn't lie with the city. It is mainly around water. So what we've done, through the executive mayor, Kabelo Gwamanda, he's launched the problem that is within the city, which is, you'd know that whenever there's load shedding or the power outage, the water would go, right? So in conclusion, the executive mayor has just launched 2 substations, which is an alternative energy. One uses the generator and the other one uses the solar system. One in Alexandra, the other one in Flareoff. So this is the grid that we're going to look into to curb that issue of load shedding, not only load shedding, together with the water outage.
Are you happy with how Joburg is at the moment, the state of the city of Joburg? Do you think it's a good place for families in Joburg?
I want to be biased once in this interview. I come from an Jama-Ah political organization, and as Jama-Ah, we're only running the city for a year. And I would say we are not happy. This is why there's so much improvement. In as much as it is at snail pace, I just told you about the 2 substations. There's many more. I told you about the partnership that we did with the Plan Act during my period. There's many more. It's only a year. So when Chief Justice, the former Chief Justice Mogoeng, when he was interviewed in one of the interviews, he was asked why is he so adamant that he might be the president. He says there's 2 effects. And the first effect, it is the Madiba effect in South Africa. And the second effect, it is the Jama-Ah effect. So what I'm saying in essence is that history doesn't have blank pages. We are doing pretty well in the city in as much as there's a slope.
I don't know if I get an answer to the question. Are you happy with the state of Joburg? Is the answer no?
I said we are gradually working on uplifting the status quo of the residents.
I don't think people in Joburg see any improvement.
Why would you say so?
Because things, it seem to be getting worse. I appreciate some of it's out of your control. But potholes, just as a symptom of malfunction. And I choose potholes deliberately because, 1, they're everywhere, and 2, they show you the depths of the problem, that you see them everywhere.
You are 100% correct. If you remember when I was sworn in, the second day after taking office, I was sworn in on Friday. On Saturday, I was in this very same studio, Newzroom Afrika, Saturday, right? I spoke about potholes. And the very same people who are crying today, the very same people who are crying today, they were laughing at the very same thing that you are saying it's a problem.
It's still a problem, is my point.
It's still a problem, correct. But let us not be hypocritical on our approach. What I'm saying is that as government and other stakeholders of the society, let us get together and fix our city. Government can do much. If you look at Lenasia, where we are governing, Lenasia in Ward 9, you can drive there, and that is our councillor. And we have demonstrated the ability to govern in as much as it's small, but through stakeholder engagement, we are successfully governing, and there aren't potholes.
Councillor Thapelo Amad, thank you very much indeed, from the political party Jama-Ah, also, of course, a former mayor in the city of Joburg. In a moment, Thomas Sang and Lawful will have your business.